Hi everyone, I'm Sam from the Conservancy for Cuyahoga Valley National Park. Today I'm gonna have my mask off while I'm talking, just because my camera crew is safely socially distanced. So it's great to see everyone. Today we are here at Oak Hill Trailhead, about to embark on a fantastic winter hike on parts of the Oak Hill and Plateau Trails, some of my favorite places in Cuyahoga Valley National Park, and you all get to join us virtually from wherever you are. All right, before we head out on our hike today, let's talk about a couple of good safety practices that you can employ before you go out on a winter hike or other winter recreation activity this winter. Great thing to do before you head out on any kind of winter adventure this season is to check the weather before you leave home. See if the temperature is going to be halfway decent, see if there's going to be any snow or rain or other precipitation. And if you're feeling comfortable with those weather conditions, make sure you layer up with a vest, coat, hat and gloves, a nice thick pair of socks, and a good sturdy pair of shoes or boots with a nice tread on them are always great things to gear up with before you go out on your hike. And a final thing to remember is to still bring water with you while you go out on your winter activities this season. No matter what the season it is, staying hydrated is super important. Even if in the winter you might not feel thirsty, still make sure you bring that water bottle with you and stay hydrated during your activities. And with that, let's get started on our hike.
again. We're still out here on Oak Hill Trail here in Cuyahoga Valley National Park. Another fun thing I always like to look at when I'm taking a hike in the wintertime is how many trees keep their dead leaves on their branches still, which is kind of a funny phenomenon with some species of trees. And scientists are actually not too sure, or they don't have a consensus on why. In Cuyahoga Valley, a lot of times you'll see it on young beech trees and young oak trees, but some even mature beech and oak trees will do it as well, where they'll keep their dead leaves throughout the winter, and those dead leaves will actually fall off and deposit on the ground in the spring when their new leaves start to poke out of their branches and shoots and push the dead leaves out. So sometimes you'll be hiking and you'll see clumps of dead leaves or dried up leaves up on a beech or an oak tree, and the two main reasons why scientists think this evolutionary trait has developed in certain types of trees is either one, because it helps protect those trees from deer browsing. So that's when deer come in the forest and are looking for something to eat, and they're going to chew on some new shoots or new leaves from trees. So it helps them protect it by keeping these not very nutritious, not very appealing, old, dried up leaves on their branches. And the other school of thought is that it helps younger trees, which is predominantly where we see this occurring. It helps younger trees absorb more nutrients in the spring. By dropping these dead leaves onto the forest floor in the spring, it's able to absorb those nutrients once those leaves break down in the spring better than if those leaves were sitting out all winter long. So it's a fun fact if you're hiking in Cuyahoga Valley and you see some young smaller trees with their dead leaves still on all winter long and even into early spring. It's probably a beech or an oak tree, and now you kind of know why that happens. You've probably all seen the cattail on the banks of ponds or small bodies of water in Northeast Ohio. There's actually a couple different types of cattails. There's the narrow-leaved cattail and the broad-leaved cattail. The narrow-leaf is non-native. It's actually an invasive species. And the broad-leaf cattail is a native species of cattail. And cattails are really cool. First of all, it's no wonder why there's very large populations of cattails. They're very known for their corn dog shaped seed pod at the very top of their plant, which contains thousands and thousands and thousands of seeds. When they're dry, they're very puffy, they're very fluffy, and they fly everywhere. And that's how usually large populations of cattails are able to grab hold of an ecosystem. Cattails are really cool because they provide a ton of habitat for all different types of pond life. So they provide habitat for tadpoles, for dragonfly nymphs, which are the aquatic form of the dragonfly in its life cycle, for turtles, for water snakes, for all types of pond life. It's a really, really important part of a pond ecosystem to provide that habitat and also food for some animals. It's another fun fact about cattails. They're actually, lots of the portion of the cattail is edible to humans. I don't recommend anyone goes out and just picks cattails and eat them. I don't recommend that, but it's a fun fact. You can actually grind the seeds from a cattail seed pod into flour and cook with it and eat with it. So cattails are a really fun part of the pond ecosystem when you learn a little bit about them, especially when they're the native types of cattails. The first thing you notice, at least the first thing I notice, is the sound difference in the winter versus a busy spring or summer sunny day. It is very tranquil, very quiet here. And one of the main reasons is because all the pond life is kind of sleeping or slowed down for the wintertime. So I always like to think about what the pond life is doing on a cold day in the wintertime here in Cuyahoga Valley. So fun fact, frogs, turtles, they're actually still here in the pond, even though we can't see them. The turtles actually are hibernating or going to sleep for the wintertime all the way at the bottom of the pond. And these are the turtles that live in the pond. So the aquatic types of turtles, so like our eastern painted turtle or the red-eared sliders, some of the other turtles that we have here that live around or in the pond. This is Sylvan Pond. So the turtles are actually hibernating, going to sleep underneath the mud and the muck and the substrate of the pond, and they're able to slow their metabolism really, really slow. So they only need a little bit of oxygen that they can find down at the very bottom of the pond in that mud and muck. And the frogs that we usually hear chirping and calling when we're walking on the side of the pond, they're in the pond water as well. They're not all the way at the bottom like turtles, but they're kind of just on the bottom of the pond. They'll swim around a little bit in the wintertime, but they're able to get as much oxygen as they need from being in the water of the pond. So that's kind of a fun story about what pond life is doing here in the wintertime in Cuyahoga Valley.
We hope you enjoyed our virtual hike today. Now more than ever, it is so important to take time for yourself to reset and recharge. So we hope that you get the chance to come out and visit Cuyahoga Valley National Park and enjoy it in whichever way you like. Stay safe, be well, and thank you for watching.